It's a rematch of a fight that we've already seen. Vicente Luque beat Belal Muhammad by first-round knockout, and that's really one of only the people who have been able to beat Belal Muhammad in his UFC career. He comes back at -170 for the rematch, and I think the big difference, obviously, is there's been a lot of time gone by, of course, but there's also the fact that this is a 5-round fight, which I think is probably something that you're going to mention here when you look at the breakdown of this matchup.
Yeah, you know me all too well here. Look, since they last fought, both men have been on an absolute tear. One's gotten in wars, and one has just evolved tremendously. We've seen Vicente Luque be the one get into the wars. Sometimes he just gets into that flow. He gets emotional, and he just is kind of, in my opinion, becoming something he really is going to get himself in trouble at some point. You know, he's a guy that started off his career really dominating on the ground. Now he's become more of a stand-up, a finishing guy. When you got a guy like Belal, who's very methodical, high-level IQ, uses the striking to set up the wrestling, and likes to drag people into deep waters. For me, Brett, you may be surprised here. I like Belal Muhammad in this fight. I think that he has more paths to victory. I think the wrestling is something that kind of can hurt Vicente Luque. If he can't hurt Belal early, and look, Leon Edwards, no secret here, I love Belal, but Leon dominated Belal in that first round, but he couldn't get him out of there. And he brings pressure. He throws a lot of combinations, output. Vicente Luque is more of a counter striker. And when you're a counter striker, in order for you to truly have success, you need your opponent to either be not a good southpaw or to really be reckless. Belal is neither of those. He's orthodox and he's not reckless in the slightest bit. He knows what he's going to do the whole time. On top of that, we've seen Vicente Luque against someone like Brian Barberena, where he's faded over the course of 3 rounds. Belal doesn't get tired. We've seen him stick to a game plan. I think this fight goes over 2.5 rounds. I think this fight goes over 3.5 rounds. And I think Belal is going to surprise a lot of people here. And I think this is someone who's flying under the radar, maybe a dark horse in the division to eventually fight for a title, especially if he's able to dominate someone like Vicente Luque.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, you talk about being a dark horse in the division. You look at his last 5 fights. He has been an underdog in some of those. I can understand why you like the over 2.5, the over 3.5. One thing I would ask you about is you saw those method of victory odds, and all of a sudden you take Belal Muhammad just by a finish, a submission, or a TKO. It jumps all the way up to plus 550, I believe, when I saw on that graphic. This is a 5-round fight, like we have mentioned. You said that you've seen Vicente Luque fade. He is a guy who likes to go out, throw a lot of heat early, and sometimes that wears him out a bit. But Belal Muhammad, I talked to him last week, and he said, you know, I'm going to get finishes. Just give me 5-round fights. I will finish guys in the 4th round, 5th round. I'm just getting started in the 3rd round. Most guys are happy the fight is over by the time that the round 3 comes along against me. Do you give any pause? Do you give any consideration at plus 550 that you got a guy in Vicente Luque who might fade and a guy in Belal Muhammad who you like to win the fight who will actually rise in those 4th and 5th rounds?
You know, from a betting standpoint, because Belal's already an underdog, I would sometimes stay away from that. And I think also the decision is kind of something I was salivating over because Belal is kind of a decision machine, not by choice. It's not like he's not trying to finish fights. It's just his style is to punish, you know, position over submission. He really takes his time with things. And I think to his point, 5 rounds is always going to favor someone like himself who has just got cardio for days and he takes his time. For Vicente Luque, he has to land very early on Belal. He's got to take out his legs. He's got to do whatever he can do to slow him down because if he doesn't land that bomb early, that overhand right, I don't know where else he beats him. We know that he's got a good Bravo choke. He ended his last 2 fights with that submission. You know, which kind of scares me for Luque, though, is Michael Chiesa walked right up to him, took him down, and took the back very early. Chiesa slipped, and obviously Luque was able to capitalize. But Belal doesn't make mistakes. I think Belal is just as good, if not better wrestler than Chiesa with better striking. I just think Belal, this is the right time for him. If he can get a finish, I think it'd be by TKO or KO, ground and pound, especially after wearing him out. It's hard to see Luque getting finished by anybody. The guy's got a great chin. He's tough. And again, off his back jiu-jitsu-wise, I think in this fight, he's going to use it primarily for defense.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.